Hey, this is Don WBA, and in this small demo I'm going to show you how to add a search box to a master page and use it across your other content pages in a web forms project. There are a couple of prerequisites that I have set up front. I'll be using Visual Studio, in this case 2015. I have the Chinook database configured on a local SQL server, and you can actually get that Chinook database from Codeplex. The Chinook database holds some information about music tracks, albums and artists, together with some other information, but we'll be dealing with the first ones. Let's head back to Visual Studio and set up a new project. I'll navigate to New Project and I'll be going for an ASP .NET Web application. It's going to be a Web Forms 1, and after a couple of seconds the project will be completed. Once the project has been created, I'll be able to boot it up and you'll have a Bootstrap enabled site which looks like this. I'll be adding the search box and a search button right here, and next we're going to add an extra page which will show the search results. Inside Visual Studio I navigate in the Projects Explorer to the site.master, and in this case I'm going to add the search box and the search button right here by inserting the following code. There is a bit of inline styling here. I would recommend putting it in the style sheet, but for the demo it's just fine. I've added a text box which will be ID'd with txt search, and I have created a button which has an ID of bt search. The next thing I need to do is something needs to happen when I click the button. So I'll code in the onClick event here, and I'm going to create a new event. So first I'm going to request the text value of the box. Next I'm going to check if it's not empty, and if it is not empty I will use a URL encode, which is really important if you want to do some secure web development, to encode the text entered in the box. Last, I will just redirect to another page. An interesting detail here is that I add a query string parameter named Q, and it holds the search phrase as a value right here. Once we build the project and watch it in our browser, we'll see the following happen. We have a search box in the master page and the button as coded in. When I now enter some text here and hit the search button, we'll get an error which is perfectly normal because we'll do the redirect to search.aspx with the text entered in the box as a query string parameter. What we need to do now is code in that extra page. So if we switch back to Visual Studio, the most easy way of doing is by right-clicking Web Application, add a new item, and select the web form with master page. I'll call this one Search, and I'll take this one as the master page. So let's give this one a title. And add some extra HTML in here to create the page. I'll paste in the code and explain what it does. It's got some Bootstrap code for making it look the same look and feel of the rest of the site. What I do here is I create a small form which holds again a search box with a search button. But more important, I'm gonna use a repeater to display the search results. A couple of things are worth mentioning here. We need to pre-fill the text search box here in case the query string parameter was specified in the URL. So we can do this by going to the code behind and insert the following line of code. I'll start to test that this request is not a postback and also not a callback. If this is the case, I will check if the query string parameter q was specified. If that's the case, I will pre-fill the text property of the text box and I will call a method dataBindList. I will already code the empty dataBind list method, and I'll get back to that in just a second. Another thing what we need to do is once that search button has been clicked, we need to code in an event for that as well. And that event is as simple as calling the dataBindList method. Before I'm going to start code that method, I'll first switch over to SQL Server Studio to show you what query we're dealing with. I will select a couple of fields from the track table, like the name and the composer, but I will also select a couple of fields like the album title and the artist name from a couple of other tables in the Chinook database. And this is done with a couple of joins. Then I will dynamically add a where construction to the SQL statement to specify the text that was put in the search box. Let's first create a static which holds the base SQL statement. Next, I'll be using a string builder to dynamically add the where statement. And I will be using an SQL variable which is more safe as by constructing the where statement by concatenating the text inserted in the box. So I will be using an SQL parameter, and what I'll do next is I will check if there was text specified in the box, and if that is the case, I will append the where statement, and what you see here is that I will check whether this search text is in the track.name or the album.title or the artist.name. So I'll be checking on 3 different fields here. And because I'm using an SQL variable, I need to fill its value. And the nice thing about this is that I will now check if it contains it anywhere in that field. And another thing is that if people are trying to use SQL injection by specifying a semicolon in the search box together with a drop table command, that will fail because we're using this SQL variable. So this is a very important security thing. Next, I will be creating an SQL connection, and I already configured the Chinook connection in the web.config, like here. Next, I will be using a command to execute the statement that we previously created. Next, I will check if the parameter was created. So in other words, if there is a where statement, otherwise we don't need to specify it. And after that I will use a connection.open. After that I can use an SQL data adapter together with a data table to fetch the results from the statement. The last thing I can now do is assign the data source of the repeater with the data table and data bind the repeater. With this in place, we have the desired functionality. So the project will start with the default page where I can enter something like crazy. We'll be redirected to the search page with the query parameter as specified, and what you see here is that there were results. I could also change the search text in this box to something else, and you'll see that this works again. I could also go back to the contact page and specify something here.